The first time I saw the HOA violation notice taped to my mailbox, I actually laughed out loud because I thought it was a joke. Above ground, pools are now banned in the entire community due to aesthetic uniformity standards. That was the exact sentence, printed in bold letters like it was some kind of emergency law. 2 days later, my neighbor Karen was standing in the middle of a HOA meeting, declaring that backyard pools were ruining property values and visual harmony. And that is when everything went completely sideways. My name is Daniel Brooks, and I never thought a swimming pool could turn into a full neighborhood. Or I moved into the Suburban HOA community because it looked peaceful, clean, and honestly, a little boring in a good way. Perfect. Lawns, quiet, streets, friendly wave from neighbors, the kind of place where nothing interesting ever happens. At least, that is what I thought. I had a simple plan for my backyard. I wanted a small above-ground pool for summer weekends. Nothing fancy. Just a place to cool off, grill some food, and relax after work. The first time I mentioned it during a casual conversation at a neighborhood gathering, I noticed Karen immediately react. She was standing near the snack table holding a clipboard like she was already documenting something. She smiled politely, but her eyes said something else. Later that week, I received my first HOA courtesy reminder. It stated that any above-ground water structures required approval due to visual consistency policies. Did not think much of it at first because I assumed it was routine paperwork, so I submitted the request anyway. That was my first mistake. The HOA denied it within 3 days. Reason given: aesthetic disruption to neighborhood design standards before. This story gets completely insane. Make sure to like and subscribe to Karen's Stories Daily, because what started as a simple pool request quickly turned into one of the most ridiculous HOA battles I have ever witnessed, involving bylaws, stock tanks, and a so-called rustic lifestyle revolution. Now, here is the thing: the community already had in-ground pools in a few homes. Nobody ever complained about those, but apparently above-ground pools were now considered unacceptable. Karen was the loudest voice behind this new push. She argued during meetings that visible pool walls made the neighborhood look cluttered and inconsistent. She even brought printed images of ideal suburban aesthetics, like she was running a design dictatorship. Residents just stayed quiet because nobody really wanted HOA drama, but I was not ready to give up that easily. If I could not install a pool, then I would find another way, and that is when I first saw it online. A massive galvanized stock tank used. For farm animals, it was 30 feet long, deep metal, and surprisingly perfect for water use. Some people online called them cowboy pools or rustic soaking tubs. That is when the idea hit me. If they wanted aesthetics, then I would give them aesthetics. Just not the kind they expected. I ordered it the same night. When delivery arrived a week later, the driver actually asked me twice if I was sure it was for a backyard. It barely fit on the truck, and when it finally arrived in my driveway, it looked absolutely massive. Neighbors started gathering immediately, some confused, some curious, and one person who I already knew would not be happy. Karen. She walked over slowly, staring at the giant metal tank like she was trying to process what she was seeing. I smiled and told her I was simply installing a rustic soaking tub. She did not laugh. She immediately said it was still a water structure and therefore subject to HOA pool restrictions. That was when I politely pointed out that the rules only mentioned above. Ground pools, not agricultural stock tanks. Her expression changed instantly because she knew I had read the same bylaws. She did. Still, she warned me that the HOA would not approve it. I told her I was not asking for approval. I was informing her. And that is when things started escalating fast. Within 24 hours, I received another violation notice claiming I was attempting to bypass pool restrictions through semantic manipulation of property use. I wish I was making that up. Karen had actually convinced the HOA that a metal farm tank might technically count as a pool, depending on intent. So they scheduled an emergency inspection, and that inspection was scheduled for the same day I decided to fill it for the first time. What nobody knew yet was that I had no intention of breaking any rules. I was just about to make them regret writing them. Because once water hit that 30-foot stock tank, the entire neighborhood was about to become very interested in what a rustic soaking tub really meant. And Karen was about to lose complete control of her pool ban policy in the most unexpected way possible. The morning of the HOA inspection felt strangely quiet, like the whole neighborhood was waiting for something to happen. Karen arrived, first standing near the driveway with two board members behind her, holding printed copies of the pool restriction rules. She looked confident, like she had already won. Then the inspectors arrived, and the moment they saw the 30-foot stock tank filled with water, the entire mood changed. One of them actually paused and asked what exactly they were looking at. Karen immediately jumped in, saying it was an illegal above-ground pool disguised as agricultural equipment. I calmly explained it was a stock tank designed for livestock use and completely unmodified from its original function. That was the key detail, because technically nothing in the HOA rules prohibited agricultural water containers used for decorative or personal relaxation purposes. The inspectors started reading the bylaws carefully while Karen kept insisting it violated the spirit of the rule, not the rule itself, just the spirit. And that is where she made her mistake. Because HOA enforcement is not based on vibes. It is based on wording. Within minutes, the inspectors confirmed there was no violation. The tank was legal. No permit required. No restriction. Broken Karen went silent for the first time since this whole situation began. But what really changed everything was what happened next. Neighbor walked over with a lawn chair, sat right beside the tank and dipped their feet in the water, then another followed. Within an hour, the so-called rustic soaking tub had basically turned into a community summer hangout. Spot kids, laughing adults, relaxing people, bringing drinks and snacks like it was a mini backyard resort. Karen tried arguing again, saying it still looked like a pool, but nobody was listening anymore. Even other HOA members started questioning why they were wasting time on something that clearly made the neighborhood more enjoyable, not less. The final blow came during the next HOA meeting. Several residents openly pushed back, demanding that the pool ban be reviewed entirely because it was clearly targeting harmless personal use rather than actual safety concerns. Karen tried defending her position, but the room had already shifted against her, and when someone finally pointed out that her rule had accidentally encouraged people to find even more creative legal alternatives, she had no answer. Left a week later, the HOA quietly amended the wording of the policy to avoid similar loopholes. And just like that, the above-ground pool ban basically fell apart. As for my 30-foot stock tank, it stayed exactly where it was. No violations. No fines. A very large rustic soaking tub that somehow became the most popular spot in the entire neighborhood. And Karen, well, she stopped bringing up pool aesthetics after that summer. Funny how quickly things change when you try to ban fun and end up creating a neighborhood hangout instead. If you enjoyed this story from Karen Stories Daily, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video and tell me honestly, would you have turned a stock tank into a backyard pool, or would you have fought the HOA differently?